This is gothic horror.
Why do they corral love and death in the same places where the horses run? Why do they keep it in that one area? It's like one against the other. It's a boxing match.
We studied Goethe in one of my literature classes.
Yeah.
And he had a novel called The Sorrows of Young Werther. And I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's considered to be like the seminal romantic era romance novel. And romantic in the sense, not necessarily a love story, but romantic era is characterized by strong emotionality. Romantic in the sense of the old Roman form, of like strong, passionate characters with strong emotionality. And it is a love story, but it's unrequited love. And young Werther is this little German boy who is in love with this woman he can't have, because she's like from a different social class and doesn't see him, and he kills himself. And that's the story. And apparently this was such a scandalous book at the time that it caused like a trend of real-life suicides in German society when people that read this book.
But it strikes me as interesting because only an artist or a keen observer would write such a thing about something that was already trending in the first place. I mean, it wasn't happening before it was spoken about, but after it's spoken about and there's an awareness about it, suddenly there's this deluge of information of, all these people are jumping off the cliff over there on, off the corner of Tension Boulevard and Overdose Lane.
Right, it obviously tapped something as all these people read it and said, yeah, I should have love, and I love this woman, and then like hundreds of people all went, yeah, love is missing in my life, and now I feel like fucking dying, and I'm gonna fucking kill myself, and they did. And they definitely tapped a vein, of what was going on in that culture, of the screwed down repression of passion and love, the lack of connection, the desire for human connection and the absolute lack thereof that it brought to the surface, that people said, yeah, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to eat poison. This isn't worth it. This sucks.
I really like your anatomical appointments towards specific phenomena that's happening during these pivotal historical, or even, maybe not even pivotal, but monumental, or maybe not even monumental, but left or right abrupt turn lanes. I do feel like doing myself in a number of times, I mean, there are times when I really do. I'm very aware of what's behind it, and it's like, it's like this thing of knowing that you have the power of life and death. Knowing that you yourself ultimately have nothing to fear, and you can make that decision for yourself. You can check out anytime you want. And that very fact is like a pressure valve that just sputters out centuries of steam.
I remember reaching an age where, like, okay, I have a car, and it's not just something that takes me from point A to point B and opens up possibilities for social life and employment and travel and all this other shit, but I can drive this off a cliff really, really easy. In fact, I kind of have to fight not to, because you got to hold on to the steering wheel the whole time you drive through the canyon or whatever. Like, you've got to be in control of this thing at all times, or you're dead. Now, instead of, like, if I want to die, I'd have to go do some real work to make that happen. All I gotta do now is let go. Just let go of the wheel, and it's all over. Well, maybe it is, maybe is that maybe you go over the cliff and you die, or maybe it's a horrible wreck and you're crippled and you're miserable and you live another 40 years as a vegetable, and that's no fun.
Do you ever think that you could leave a really horrible mess behind and then like feel guilty about having that kind of thought and thinking, well, I could clean it up a little bit by just, a variation on the theme. Maybe I could take a handful of pills and some liquor or maybe the plastic bag and bungee cord.
It's the exact same self-conversation you have when you get your first car, when you buy your first gun.
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't have to find a cliff. Okay, I can do this in the kitchen. Suddenly I have that power to not just control of my own life or death, but to really fuck up the lives of other people by not caring about myself enough. It's like, okay, I think I just grew up just a little bit more with that self-realization. And that was 30 years ago. And I'm still alive.
Or so many more words, you know that in their lives you are important.
Yeah. I mean, not just he's our son, but you're supposed to love your son, but deeply woven into the fabric of their being, deep in their psyches, deep in their hearts, and in their veins, and in the tissue of their existence. I am a part of that.
Your spirit, your mirth, your personality, your accumulated experiences drawn by your soul's individual needs to learn something has been a key contributor in that unit that you're describing that would be selfish to leave, to discard.
It would be extremely selfish.
To discard.
It would be extremely selfish.
Exactly.
It would be incredibly disrespectful to everything that we and they have built together over all these years. And there's a part of me that goes, dude, that is so egotistical, that is so narcissistic, you're not that important to the world. But it's something a little bit different than that, because it's about their conception of why the world is good.
People seem to be conflating narcissism with accountability. And with accountability comes some, a sense of, well, I have this worth. I know intuitively that I have this worth. I may have doubts at times, but I know that I belong. And that these people have indicated that, and then I have indicated to them. that hassle?
You gotta call somebody, but you're dead, so who's gonna make the call? So what's gonna happen is those cats are gonna end up in a shelter somewhere. And I rescued the matriarch, the mama cat. I rescued her off the street, and I made her a promise that I would take care of her and her kittens. For real, I did. I promised her that because I respect her that much as a being, that I would take care of her and I would take care of her kitten.
They don't get purified water, and they don't get really clean food. I mean, basically, they get whatever they want.
They get parasites and weird diseases. They get hit by cars. They get eaten by coyotes. And I appreciate you having me run through 2 or 3 takes of this concept, both to clarify in my own head why I want to continue to exist, and to give us material to work with, because that is also important.
I mean, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here, basically, because we're on a plateau.
Are we budgeted for my emotional breakdown?
No.
Are we budgeted for
No. Your emotional breakdown does not fit into the budget at all.
It means we get to use it, but we don't have to compensate you for it. So it'll show up. It'll show up in the print. It'll show up in the print. It's a tax deduction, but no, you're not going to see it on your stub.
You see how we can work these things out, you know, in life.
Tulkin, From Far Away. This edition of From Far Away was produced in collaboration with Paul Andrews, Patricia Montana, and Bonnie Montrose. Recording, mixing, editing, and music looping, Mr. Delmar. Music by Andrew Spitzer and Mr. Delmar. Far Away will air again with a selected rebroadcast.